Thanks, Jim. Hi, y'all. I am going to go ahead and share my screen. I just first want to start off by saying thank you all for having me here today. It has been a pleasure listening. I am a long lifer in the great state of North Carolina. I have kind of, spent my entire adult life working to help build a better North Carolina for all of its citizens here. And I actually heard my very first candidate 20 years ago. I can't believe it's been that long at this point, 22 years now, when I was interning at a law firm and thought, this is the path that I want to do. I need to help North Carolina. And I haven't looked back. I am a fundraiser by trade, which I think has really helped me propel as the executive director here, because we can't do anything without raising money. And so, before I even begin, I just want to say thank y'all for even taking the opportunity to hear from state parties and helping us to build this infrastructure, because we couldn't do it without folks like y'all. Like sure you have heard from many folks when we got kind of done with 2020, there's a lot to look back on and a lot to learn from. And so when we started building out our 2022 program, we really first just took a look at 2020 and started with a long-term strategic plan for North Carolina, because we made a lot of gains. But unfortunately did not get to do everything that we wanted to do in 2020. We knew we were sort of a long shot state, but we closed some margins and we were really proud of that. But we still have a long ways to go, because we did not take a chamber. And what you've seen in some states across the nation, we are no stranger to it. Our redistricting really kind of has thrown us for a loop in terms of what we're going to be able to accomplish. We are kind of entrenched right now in litigation. And this litigation is going to also help tell us kind of, why we are so important to help in 2022 and why 2022 matters for us long term. So right now, again, like I said, our maps are awful. We look like we're going to lose potentially some congressional seats, and we're going to have to really fight to hold the governor's veto. And you can see why that even matters right now, because just this past Wednesday, the General Assembly actually passed legislation to kind of go around our Supreme Court, as they are now hearing our redistricting case to change the primary date yet again. But we have made some gains, and we are really excited about the direction that we're going. Like I said, we moved kind of from 2020 and thought we need to be talking to people. One of the things that we walked away from was that there was a lot of relationship building that needs to happen, and it needs to happen year round. Just like what Michigan was talking about, there are people that can come in, and help us do GOTV and just push out those short-term relationships. But what we really need to look at are those long-term relationships, and building from the ground up, building our bench, building the volunteer route apparatus, that we need for long-term gains in North Carolina. And so what we did is we went on a mission. We started talking to Michigan. We started talking to Wisconsin. We really worked one-on-one with Martha Landing over at SPAN to build out a strategic plan that involved two big components. It involved year-round organizing, and it involved a voter protection program. And so I'm here to talk just a little bit about those two things for y'all today. So we thought that, we really needed to make a long-term plan so that we could turn blue in 2024, but we have to also understand why 2022 is so important for us right now. Again, we have to protect the governor's veto. Both chambers are protected by the Republicans here in North Carolina. And as y'all may know, the North Carolina General Assembly is a breeding ground for trying ALEC legislation to see what will take hold here in North Carolina. We also need to stop the conservative takeover of the North Carolina Supreme Court. Right now is an excellent test case of why it is so important for us to have Democrats on the North Carolina Supreme Court. In 2016, the Republican legislature made our courts partisan, and we are up by 2 right now, and 2 of those seats are up. We have a wonderful opportunity with Sherry Beasley, former Chief Justice of North Carolina, to flip the U.S. Senate seat. We're very excited about working with her. And then we've started this year-round organizing plan. We want to continue this program, and we really want to protect the vote on Election Day. So when we're looking at setting this up, there are a couple of things that we know of why it is so important to have a year-round organizing plan. Again, from learning from 2020, we have to expand our outreach to rural North Carolina and suburban North Carolina. We are, Sherry Beasley, for example, lost by 400 votes, y'all. 400 votes. So if we had a couple more precincts with just a few more people coming out, just think of the change that we could have had. We know that, the Republicans did something in North Carolina that we typically do really well. They had direct voter contact throughout COVID. Now, do we regret, putting health and safety first? Absolutely not. But we do know that direct voter contact matters and building those relationships matter. And so we have to build back trust. And so to do that, we started our Building Blue program, and we're super excited about it. It's the first time in the state party's history that we've actually had an organizing program in an off year. And this is something that we want to make a permanent part of our structure. So the other thing that we have for the first time at the state party level is a voter protection program too. These things really sometimes somewhat go hand in hand. In 2015, the North Carolina Democratic Party started this huge rebrand of itself. I mean, we lost the majority in 2010, went into the super minority and really had to grow from this, from the ground up. And so now we're at a place where we can really not just focus on rebranding, but really push forward with building a volunteer leadership at the local level that can actually propel us to actually do deep canvassing organizing year round. So we started the program, and now you can see in 2021, we did some things for the first time that we were super excited about because of this year-round organizing plan. We launched our first statewide municipal GOTV campaign. We have flipped some mayoral seats. We've flipped some county commissioner seats. We have been having one-on-ones with community leaders. And as you can see, we continue to do weekends of action, doing literature drops to talk about the good works that Biden is doing, to talk about how to get a vaccine, and then also to continue to start to build our bench by recruiting folks at the local level. One of the things that we were also able to do is give all our municipal candidates free access to Vote Builder, so that, again, we could continue to kind of build this relationship between our local county party leaders and our candidates. So at this point, we've been able to hire an organizing and training director and 4 regional organizing directors. And I'm excited to say that we actually offered to an additional 2 folks a job offer on Friday. So we're super excited about that. So our team is continuing to expand. So right now we're at a total of 6 regional organizing directors, but we want to make that bigger. We want to have at least a total of 4. If we are able to get all of the funding that we need long-term, we would like to have 14 regional organizing directors so that we can have 1 for each of our congressional districts. And we're very actually excited about how this is taking off. Again, it actually it is the exact same thing that Jim was talking about earlier in terms of our kind of Wisconsin model, where we are actually organizing, if the regional organizing directors do it right, they're organizing themselves out of a job. They are actually building the leadership on the ground, going in communities, not just as Democrats, but going into the communities to talk about what is the important issue at the local level. And so as we go in, the overall goal is to, make sure that our low propensity voters, can't spit that out today, are becoming our base voters. So we want to expand our base voting network. We also want to shift just from talking about national politics to talking about local issues that matter. And so all of this is going to be a very metrics-based kind of organizing plan. So what we are going to continue to keep tracking is the number of new action teams that are created. So those are those community level teams. We have over 2,600 precincts in North Carolina. We should have at least 1 action neighborhood team in each of those precincts. We're going to be continuing to track number of events and event attendees. The ones-on-ones, we are doing weekly trainings twice a week already to train our local leaders and our candidates. So these are all the things that we're going to continue to track as we grow this program. And just like Chair Barnes said, this is beside of the coordinated campaign. So though we're working in coordination, this team is staying with the NCDP state party. And it's going to be something that is year in and year out, so that when we're moving past 2022 and moving into 2023, we still have this team, and the momentum is going, and there's going to be, no break in that. So our overall program for the Building Blue is just under $1 million. And then each regional organizer is going to cost us about $70,000 for the year. Once you add in, the salary and benefits, also travel, et cetera, that we'll be planning to do, because we are going to continue to actually do the in-person events, et cetera, as COVID allows. So we do have a lofty goal, but we're off to a great start. And as you can see that, through the number of texts and phone calls, we really are making some headway. The other program that I wanted to mention to y'all today is our voter protection program. So again, we've never had this organizing program before, and we've never had a year-round voter protection program either. So things are changing here in North Carolina. As y'all know, we are no stranger to voter suppression, unfortunately. I'm sure many of you heard about the Congressional District 9 case that we had a few years ago, and I was lucky enough to come on as executive director right at the tail end of that. So we learned a lot in that time period. And one of the things that was very important to Chair Richardson and I is to make sure that we had a strong foundation in our voter protection program from day one. And so we hired a voter protection director earlier than ever. We actually already have 2 deputies on staff as well. Part of voter protection is organizing. So our 2 of our deputies, we have one that is concentrated on the legal side and one that is concentrating on organizing our on the ground folks in terms of voter protection. So getting our county attorneys ready, but also starting to reach out for volunteers for the hotline, and for which we already have up and running, and for poll workers, already making those relationships now. One part of the new program, though, is what I wanted to kind of give you a little brief synopsis on today, and that's the Voter Protection Purge program. We were able to partner with the DNC. It's something that they're doing for all of the state parties this year, and they are reaching out to us to tell us who our purged voters are. And so as an opportunity now with this new voter protection program, one of the things that we wanted to do is to reach out to all of the purge voters to find who they are, if they're high propensity voters or are they Democrats, and reach out to them through calls, through door knocking, and through text to let them know that they've been purged. And then we can help educate them on how that they can re-register. This also is an opportunity for us to continue to do voter education outreach in African American and Latinx communities. And so again, we're going to partner with the organizing team so that we can accomplish this. The first round is actually happening as we speak. We are actually identifying now who we are going to send the postcards to for the first run of things. It starts with a postcard to let people know that they have been purged from the voter roll. This is a program that is going to start now in January, early February, and then we will continue the actual outreach through the summer, and then do another roll of it starting in August again. But as you can see, by May 17th, the goal is that we will have reached out at least one time to every voter that has been purged, and that we have at least 50% of them, of the 16,000, re-registered. So that being said, again, just think if we had done something like this in 2020, when we had such, some narrow margins like the Sherry Beasley case. So that's a quick, brief synopsis of what that Purge program is, And just to kind of give you an overview of what the state party side of voter protection is going to look like. Again, we have built out a large program that is based on reaching out, organizing at the county level, and then again, voter education for our voter protection piece. Because we do want to, we don't want anybody to walk away on election day and not be able to vote because they didn't know that they had been purged from the polls. So that is, I don't even know if I took a breath while I was talking, but that's our overall program moving into 2022. I do think that it is a very lofty program for the state of North Carolina. Let me see if I can exit out and I'll stop sharing. but we have a lot of work to do. So it needs to be a lofty program moving forward. We have an opportunity moving into 2024 to turn blue. We shrunk our margin down to 1%. If you're looking at the presidential race, they're just over 1%. But in order to do that, we actually have to stop the Republican takeover in 2022. And that means protecting that veto. And that also means protecting those courts, as well as trying to flip that seat. So thank y'all for listening to me. And all the great things that the North Carolina Democratic Party is doing.
Thank you so much. Wow, you packed a lot of information in there, all of which was very clear and well organized.